All right. Welcome everybody to Grace Academy 101. Sorry for a little bit of the delayed start. We had some fun, exciting things on the back end. Some people might have heard about some of the stuff going on with Twitch in the background. But we got that all lined up and we're ready to get going. So thank you all for joining us today, Grace Academy 101. Um, let's just go ahead and get going. Forward-looking statement. If you need to look over that, please pause and read that through the fullest. My name's Gray Juba. I'm a technical marketing manager here at Focused on Industries, formerly an automation and controls engineer in the manufacturing environment. Mainly focused on discrete manufacturing, but also did some process engineering as well. Splunker for over 3 years, actually 4 years this month. I know this because it is conf season. And I generally focus on the non-traditional use cases of Splunk. My first conf was in 2016 as a customer. And some of my hobbies include home brewing, beekeeping, barbecuer, and sometimes I like to fish. Mainly focus on fly fishing. Sweepstakes, October. Here we go. October 20 or $25 gives you an opportunity to get some swag at the Splunk gift shop. Ends October 31st. 10 winners, one entry per person, and winners will be announced next month. All right, so let's go a little bit over what Gray's Academy is. Why are we doing this? Why is it fun? Why do I do this? Why do I enjoy doing this? And why I'm here doing this for you. So, first Thursday, proficiency level beginner. That's what we're doing today. We're going to be going over Splunk 101. Splunk in the cloud, how to get started. You're just wanting to know a little bit about it. And you just want to kind of put your toe in the water to find out some more information. We also do the second Thursday. It's Splunk 201, proficiency level intermediate. But things might be a little bit different this month. Like I said, it is conf season, so we might be switching things up. And then on the third Thursday, it is Splunk 301, where we'll be doing some more of the non-traditional use cases of Splunk. Again, this month might be a little bit different. Who knows? We might have a recap of conf, still to be determined, and go over a few things. So we'll just pause there or continue moving on. A little bit about the live streaming theme. Ask questions, have fun, learn about Splunk. There isn't any bad questions. One of the things that I've really thought about this, especially now that, again, Splunk this year, the conf is going to be virtual. And I wanted to create an environment where you can start asking those questions. You want to get to know more information, at least, have fun with it, learning the process. And I thought the platform of like doing it with like Twitch and YouTube and through LinkedIn to be able to stream directly to you guys and give you an opportunity to ask some questions and really get that pavilion experience that we all know if you've been to Splunk Conf in the past, to start digging in and then be giving you guys that opportunity to start asking those questions. And that's more focused on like maybe the developer stuff, but if you're a beginner, questions, have fun. Again, you're not here to, kind of some themes. We don't make mistakes. We make happy little accidents. Sometimes I might do something, might mess something up. It's fine with Splunk. We'll fix it. It's part of the thing. That's what's great about it. You're not here to sometimes watch me play games that I've played all the time. For example, against 101, I have played and worked with Splunk before, but we might deviate. So there's no questions we won't go down. We do have some moderators here. They are here to make things fun. Let me go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to drop the sweeps into the chat real quick for everyone here. Boom. There's the sweepstakes. I think maybe one of our mods actually already did that. And then some of the content about the fundamentals one, if you are wanting to follow along, because that's what we're going to be doing today. So, agenda: sign up for Splunk Cloud, install the tutorial data, Splunk Cloud search tutorial, and questions and answers, and some of the references. I dropped that in chat. We'll be going over that as well. Let's get started. So just give me a second while I get my system switched over. Just 1 second. My apologies for taking just a smidge longer. There we go. All right. Sharing the screen now. You should be able to see. I might even throw myself out of the way. So you maybe, let's see if we can make this look a little bit better. I will do this. I might be blocking the corner right, but we're here. We're having fun. All right, so what we're going to be doing is the Splunk search tutorial. To go in and find out, I dropped a link in the chat. You can just kind of come in here and see that information, pull it up, and this will be where it will take you. Also, if you wanted to get started and you don't have a Splunk instance, what you can do is go to splunk.com. And once you get to splunk.com, all you'll do is go over here and click on free Splunk. And if you're logged in, I don't know if I'm logged in quite on this account, what you'll do is you'll fill out the information. If you want to do a cloud trial, which is the easiest way to kind of get started, just click on the cloud trial and make sure that's selected. But if you're somebody that's used Splunk before and want to install it on your own system, you can click software download. It can be installed on Linux systems and Windows and Apple. So shouldn't be any limitations there. But just to get started, click on the cloud trial, fill out the information, and you're ready to turn data into doing. All right, so I have this system a little bit set up, but we're going to go through. We're going to set it up if you're wanting to follow along exactly what we are doing today. So, getting started. Let's go ahead and click on that. You'll need to create a Splunk.com account, access to the free trial version of Splunk software, and download the tutorial files. There might be prerequisites depending on which Splunk platform you use. So we just kind of went over that. Here's the Splunk Cloud, Splunk Enterprise, and then download the tutorial data. So what you'll do is you'll go here and you'll click on download the tutorial data, download prices, like that. And we've already had them, but we'll be good to go. So access the trial version, Splunk Enterprise. Next step, uploading the tutorial data. All right, here we go. So this data that we're pulling in is actually going to be in raw format. We're just going to upload the whole zip file. It's just a prepackaged data set. It makes our life a little bit easier. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on settings up here and then click on add data. And then what we're going to do is upload files directly from the computer. And we're going to select the file. And the first thing we're going to start with is the tutorial data. We'll do this latest one. Click on open and then click next. Click next to continue the input settings. Segment. So one of the things you have to pay attention to if you're doing on Splunk Cloud, you need to come here and where it says segment path, you need to put a 1. Today we are working on a PC, or Windows, so you'll need to drop in this regular expression. We'll copy the regular expression and drop that into the segment path. Today, we're going to follow through the instructions. We're actually going to create a new index. So I've actually got a couple already here, and we're going to call this we'll just do 101 for today. 101. And then go ahead and click save. And then save the index to 101. Can you get a recording of this tutorial for future reference? So I'll be doing this the first Thursday of every single month. So if you want to come back and follow again and do it with us, you can follow along then. Or it will be recorded and saved on YouTube. And I believe the Twitch streams will also be saved for a certain period of time, maybe not forever. So you can find them there as well. Go ahead and click review, going back into this, and we will click submit. And what we can do is we can just click submit and start searching. Already populate some of the data for us. I've done some of this process again, so you can see your screen may not necessarily have this dark. We'll go over that here in a little bit. It might be black. I just like dark mode. The YouTube channel, it's actually Splunk's YouTube channel. So if you go to Splunk Inc., I believe. So YouTube, and then Splunk Inc., and you can just go to Splunk channel and you can actually see us live right now, and the videos are recorded and you can find them in the history there as well. See some of them right now. All right, so let's move forward. I've already done that. I think we have to do click next. Excuse me. I think we actually have to upload the second part. So let's go ahead and add data. We did the tutorial data number 2, and excuse me, get over a little bit of a cold. So if you see me drinking a little bit of water here every once in a while, my apologies. Just had a daughter started pre-K couple about a month or so ago, and we're getting that experience of kids bringing home stuff from preschool. So that's always fun. Review and submit and start searching. So you should see that data as well. Yep, perfect. All right, a little bit about what we're looking at. So we're going to come back and we're going to click on the Splunk Enterprise in the top left, and this is going to be your home screen as you're looking at Splunk. You've got apps on the left-hand side. Most of the time today, we're going to be spending our time in the search and reporting app. So if you ever get lost, need to start over, click on the button in the top left where Splunk Enterprise, and then click on search and reporting. Other things we've got here, this is where you can see the apps that I was just mentioning. You can switch between them without having to go to the home screen. You've got a couple of other features associated to it. We've got the application menu at the top, the Splunk bar, over here in this location. We've got the apps bar, which is found here, search bar, and we'll go through the time range picker. That's a pretty key one. You need to know and see where that is, and saves history. This is one of my favorite tools. You can see all the previous searches that were done on this instance. So if you ever run a search and somebody shuts down or reboots the Splunk instance, especially if you're in a dev environment, you lose your search, you can just come in here and see that search behind the scenes. And then also, if you as you're going through it and you want to see the previous history, you can just see all that there. And let's go the same specifying time ranges. All right, so the first thing we need to do, it says Buttercup Games here, but really what we need to do is index equals 101, because that's where we stored our data. Right now, I'm not using the main index. So if you follow along and are familiar with Splunk, if Splunk doesn't necessarily, there's a couple of things to know about Splunk. So we'll do Buttercup Games real quick. Buttercup Games, and you actually see it fill out and find those matching terms for us already. So let's just go and click search, and I think I might have to expand the search. Oh no, it's already found it. So one thing to know about the first search you do with Splunk, it is assumed that search is there. So that's one of the things that I always like to highlight, is search is already there for you. And so you don't necessarily have to worry about dropping that in. So actually, I'm going to press enter over here. It actually disappears on me because it's already assumed. And most of the time, it's the data is stored in the main index. But today we created a new index just because I've already dropped some of this data, the tutorial data, and I didn't want to see duplicates. So we created a new index. And time range pickers. Up here on the right, we have time range pickers. You can just come up here, select them. A couple of things to note: we have real-time searches relative to the current time. And then we also have the more in-depth details. So if you want to pick the specific date and time, you have that ability as well. And even using some level of relative time range pickers. We just went through all that fun. All right, basics, searches, and search results. So click search in the app bar to start a new search. So that's one thing to quickly refresh your page and kind of redo everything. And then again, go back to seeing all your previous searches. Click search and index equals 101. Type butter. A little dyslexia coming through there. In the search bar, when you type a few letters in the search bar, the search agent assistant shows in terms and that you match your letters. Yep, see that there. And then you can click and then type in category. Category, perfect. See, that popped up, matching terms. And select category ID equals sports. Perfect. And then press enter. All right, so now we see all the data for the past 24 hours, and there was 20 events in which category ID equals sports. So it looks for matching terms. So basically what we've done is we've just used a kind of like a search engine to do a name value pair search on category ID equals sports. And within that index of all that data that we just ingested, we've now filtered down to everything that says category equals sports. Cool. All right, so now let's do a new search. And change time to all time. And what we're going to start working on, retrieve index from an index. So remember, we have to type in index. If you are going through this and you just installed your data, or you just installed it, excuse me, not installed. Index equals main, but if you followed along with me or the information, it's main or 101. But we're going to stick with 101 today, because that's what we saved it as. And Buttercup games, error or fail, star or severe. Type it in search for terms. Okay, so what we're looking at here is we're looking for inside the index 101, anything that filters on Buttercup games and then has an additional bit of information that's including error, fail, or severe. And then the key thing to note is fail star. So we're looking for things with a wild card. So it could be failure, failing, failed, any of those iterations. It fills in the blank for us so we can also automatically see all that information coming through. All right, so let's try to spend some time and understand the search results. Below the search bar are 4 tabs: events, patterns, statistics, and visualizations. So we have events, patterns, statistics, and visualizations. The events tab is where the events tab displays the timeline of events, the displaying options, the field sidebar, and the events viewer. So one thing that you're looking at here is those events coming in real time. So we're looking at a course of 8 days, beginning September 29th and ending October 7th. And then you can see the total volume of those events. It looks like per day. Yeah, per day. All right, so we've got display options. If you want to change this into list, I've never actually used this much other than just a list view. You do have some format numbers per page, and then on the left-hand side, we have our fields list. Okay, we'll get into now. I'm sure it's going to tee us up. We're going to be talking about fields versus events. But we'll follow along the instruction. We won't go off track just yet. We'll have some fun with off track. Okay, pattern, statistics, and visualizations. Let's do using fields to search. All right, here we go. Use what are fields? Fields exist in machine data in many forms. Often a field is a value with a fixed delimited position on a line, or a name and value pair where there is a single value for each field. A field can be multi-valued. That is, a field in a single event can have multiple values in a field. So for example, destination IP addresses, you could have multiple different IP addresses. So a multi-valuable field would be destination IP is the field name, and the results would be a multi-value field with multiple different IP addresses of where that message is being sent to. I mean, it doesn't really, yeah, you follow. I'm not going to get into the intricacies of what that means. All right, so extracted fields. The Splunk software extracts fields from events at index time and at search time. So what that means, at index time, the time span from when the data and the Splunk software receives the data to when the data is written to the index. During the index time, the data is parsed into segments and events. Default fields and time spans are extracted and transforms are applied. So that means when the data is sent into the index, Splunk can say, oh, I know what this already does. And I already know it's JSON, or I already know it's name value fields, or I know it's CSV, and it says, I already know what this is. I'm going to dump it into the index and give it name value fields. But at search time, it means maybe Splunk it wasn't like a traditional structure. So Splunk says, hey, I don't know how to parse this data, but after the fact, what you can do is say, hey, you know what? I know what the structure of this data is, and I'm going to parse it out at search time. So when I click the search button, it then pulls all that data and structures it based off of, like I say, a structure that we created and tell it how to use. All right. Search with fields. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click on search in the top left. Start a new search. To search the source type, remember we got to do index equals 101 source type equals access underscore. Ooh. Let me fix that real quick. I might have made that a little bit ugly for you guys. Access equals underscore star. To search the source type for any fields that begin with underscore access, run the following search. Might have to change. Oh, no, we got some results. The search uses a wildcard character in the field access underscore star to match the Apache Web Access source types. The source types can be access underscore common, access underscore combined, and access underscore combined W cookie. Scroll through the list of events in your search results. Okay, so what we're looking at here is these are events and multiple different events here. And then within an event, we have fields, like I was saying before. So these are those name value pairs that we were kind of mentioning before that we can extract out. So for example, what we're looking at here, that source type matches the name value, or the name is source type, and the value is access underscore combined W cookie. Then we also have other information that has automatically been extracted, as we were mentioning before. All right, moving forward. I always like to get ahead of myself because it's like I just say things right before the instructions get to them. So what we're looking at here is selected fields. So let's read about what selected fields are. To the left of the events list in the fields bar, as events are retrieved that match your search, the fields sidebar updates the selected fields and interesting fields list. These are fields that Splunk software extracts from your data. When you first run the search, the selected fields that contain the default fields, host, source, and source type, these are the default fields that appear in that area for selected fields. Interesting fields are fields that appear in at least 20% of your events. So basically, if you have something that says pops up multiple times based off that name value pair structure, it says, this might be interesting. It exists. So if we come over here and let's see which one it tells us to look, select the action. Okay. So to add fields to the selected fields, click on all fields. The selected fields dialog box shows a list of fields in your events. The number of values column shows the number of unique values for each field in the event. Because your search criteria specifies the source type field has just one value. Okay, so what we're looking at here, we got fields, number of values. So how many unique discrete values do we have in event coverage? How many of the search results that I have returned, how often does it exist? So in this particular case, host exists 100 times, but it's always the same host. Action exists in 52.05%, and the number of values is 5. So that there's 5 discrete values for actions. So like submit, return, or error might be some of the example actions. Select action, category ID, and product ID from fields. Okay, action. Oh, we already did this in the previous time I did this, so maybe that's why I should build the nuances. But we've already done this. We've already selected action here. But what you would do, we'll go click category ID and product ID, and then what we do is we click on action, category ID, and product ID. If I can find that real quick. Also, just do the filter for us real quick, and then boom, got it. They've been added. And now when you see close the fields dialog box, you'll actually see those up in the selected fields. Under the selected fields, notice the number 5 next to the action field. Click on the action field. So here's some of those examples. Purchase, add to cart, view, change quantity, and remove. See if we got any questions or anything. Looks like we're good to go. And under the selected fields, we got click on action field. Close the action field summary window. Review the other 2 fields that you've added to the selected fields, the category ID. So that was product ID. Category ID, strategy, arcade, accessories, null, T, shooter, simulation, and sports. Perfect. All right, so we did a little bit of some of this, which we closed the action fields. Yeah. Scroll through the list of events, done that. The little arrow both side, that's my favorite button in this whole thing. It just gives me everything that we detailed in searching. And we kind of went over all those action ID, action information. Great. All right, so now start a new search. And in the search time range pickers, late, but I do have a few questions. Sure, shoot some questions. We'll see if we can answer them here. Try to stay a little bit on track, but we'll give it a shot. Ooh, that's a good question. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with those compliances, so I cannot answer whether we do or do not. So what I can do is, if you want to find out more information, maybe one of our mods, maybe that's something that as we start getting into this, we'll have our mods help us out with this. So if you can, Whitney, if you see anything that's obvious, please drop that in chat for us. But I will have to see. That's not, say again, I'm the non-traditional use cases of Splunk. Sometimes I don't know some of those use cases like that. Perfect. So we'll see if we can get an answer for you. All right. So run the following search. Source type access. One of the things we need to do is say index, remember, equals 101. Perfect. We got it in the last 24 hours. So we don't have too many result sets because it is kind of passed over the past, I think, 7 days when it drops that data in. Perfect. Yep. All right. This search uses the HTTP status field, status equals 200, to specify successful requests and the action field to search for only the purchase events. I kind of zoom that in real quick. You can also search for failed purchases in the similar manner, saying status equals does not equal 200, which looks for all events where the HTTP status code does not equal 200. So if you're not familiar with HTTP events or results spec, what you can do is just put a pipe or exclamation or bang equals 200, and it gives you results that says, hey, you know what? I want to see everything that doesn't equal status equals 200. Another thing, as we're looking at this, as you kind of think of this as like the mathematical formulas of and or Boolean algebraic equations, it is understood that and is in between each of these. So if you need to kind of do something, let's say for like, or a status does not equal, so you say, oops, or end And then basically it's understood that and is in between all of these. Probably says that in the documentation. Might have gone over it, might have not, might have skipped over it. All right, so change the status. We've done that. And basically now when we come over to statuses, if we want to look on the left-hand side, where is statuses? Let's click on all fields, status, and expand it out. And so now we can see all the results set on which status, all those discrete values. So 503, 408, 406, 400, 500, 505. I don't know those by the back of my hand, but usually those aren't the responses you want because they're not 200. I know 200 is good. Splunk ML. If you want to get started on Splunk machine learning, we use Splunk in our SOC department, and we're looking to utilize the ML capabilities of Splunk. And these suggestions would be greatly appreciated. If you want to know more about Splunk ML, the best place to start is Splunk Base. And then from here, the machine, and if you're just getting started, start with the machine learning toolkit. And this is going to give you all the information and documentation, at least kind of those initial starting points to kind of find out more information. I believe there's also a link out to the detail, maybe it's under details. Yeah. All the requirements and latest. And if you're wanting to get started with the machine learning toolkit and find out for more information, what I'd recommend you doing is maybe spinning up a Splunk instance of your own. And installing the machine learning toolkit. And within the machine learning toolkit, I don't have that installed on this instance right here, but let's say you spun up your own Splunk instance. Let's do it real quick. We're having fun. I know we're going a little bit off script, but you know what? We're here to answer questions, here to have fun. You can click on find more apps and Splunk or MLT. I think that will maybe ML. And you can click on install. Ooh, I'm not going to type in my password. Well, actually, you know what I can do? I can just turn off my screen real quick and I'll type in my password and get things going. One second. And I'll turn my screen back on and you can see everything. Okay. Perfect. So I've already installed it. I just went through that process, put my password in there. And what you can do is you do have to install, let's say, like the machine learning toolkit, but we should be able to see a lot of the information associated. So once you install the app on your Splunk environment, you can just go to it might yell at me because I have to install another app that's like the Python libraries associated with it. You go through the same process of installing it. And once you're in here, what you can do if you want to know more about it, and this is kind of how I would suggest going through it, is going through these showcases to show you how it would be used. And so predicted fields, detect outliers. So if you want to come through and you can see somebody's like, hey, I'm going to go with something that's a little bit more predicted disk utilization. So if we're looking at a hard disk, and we want to know when the hard disk is going to either be filled or failed or something along the lines, you can go through this whole process. I'm not going to do it all right now, but I'd recommend this showcase will kind of guide you step by step. So you click on the search, fills in the data, you click on next, and then you say predict, error fit commit. Okay, so it's yelling at me right now because I don't have the Python libraries. Is what you need to do is you install also find more apps. You need to do the reason why they're not prepackaged because you need the different libraries based off of what environment you're installing it on. So for example, you need to either install the Linux on a Linux box, Windows, yada yada. You get you understand. And when you do that, you go through that whole process and it'll see you how you can start learning more. And there's more documentations linked out within that environment. But all right, let's get back to the Splunk tutorial. I hope that helped out for you. All right. All right, start a new search. And today, since we had like a random time that we got started, I don't know what time I started. I'm just gonna kind of go maybe till another 30-ish minutes. Feel free if you have some questions, and we're just gonna follow along and have fun. All right, so search for errors. The way that errors are designed in events varies from source to source. To search for errors, your search must specify these different designations. Start a new search. Change the time range to all time, and then run the following search. All right, I'm gonna just copy and make our lives a little bit quicker, but don't forget index equals 101, and then search. Click on source in the selected fields list. This search does not specify a source type. The source retrieves events from both the secured log files and the web access log files at the exact same time. Change the time range to yesterday. Yesterday. Run the following search. Oh, it's wanting me to type it in. As you type in the search, source type equals access. It shows you a list of previous searches that start with source type. You can select the search that you ran earlier for searches for successful purchases, and then add the category ID simulation to the end of the search. Okay, so basically action equals purchase. And then, so it's already filled that in for us. And then what we're going to want to do is category ID equals simulation. The count of events returns the number of events of the simulation's games purchased. So what we're looking at, it looks like there were 6 events that were action. Well, we need to change that to not purchase. Status equals 200. Make sure you do that correctly. And we have 31 events in which we had when somebody clicked purchase and it successfully went through. So remove the category ID simulation. Hey, welcome, welcome. And we'll go ahead and delete that. Remove category equals / locate the unique, and then run again. And then it says locate the unique category ID values by clicking category ID, and then the selected fields list. Click on accessories. Sample search syntax. Okay, so we'll move forward. I think we've kind of done some basic understanding about how the infrastructure works. We can move on to the search syntax. Let's see if what is going to drop us real quick. So search language syntax. So Splunk S is the references as SPL. We can follow along this, but we'll skip ahead of it. And right here, we'll go into the next part where we're going to focus on top. So we'll fill that in, copy that. And basically, we're going to start going into the search syntax. Did I not want to paste it? Okay. Well, let me copy that again. And then, so basically, we're filling out the first one after action equals purchase. And then we do what's called a pipe. And I did shift return to add myself a new line that makes it easier to see. And the first command we're going to learn about today is top. And the top command is appended to your search string. And what it does, I got to actually give it a variable, category ID. And you got to make sure it's case sensitive. Let me turn it into all time because it might have told me to do that before. And at the same time, I need index equals 101 because earlier I saved the data to index equals 101. And now we're looking at the top category ID and the search syntax. Index 101 and category ID. So what we're looking at is the total result set. All right, so we got some information real quick I can drop into chat. Let me see if I can. So for one of the people that were asking questions about simplifying ticket remediation, I don't know if that's going to paste in very well, but we'll see because it's giving me a hyperlink. So it did drop that one. Simplify remediation. Perfect. So I think that one of the questions was asking about for one of maybe the PCI DSS questions and or maybe the machine learning aspect. There's the answer in the chat for you. And that may not go to LinkedIn. I think that might be where the question was. No, that was on YouTube. So it should drop on YouTube for us. All right, so looking at the way the search works and the way the syntax works, and if you want to find out more information about the Splunk syntax, you can go to Splunk knowledge base and documentation, and then what you're going to want to do is we'll go into Splunk Enterprise. Search and reporting. So normally I use different ways to find out understanding the SPL and syntax. So I can drop this understanding the SPL syntax into the chat. Let me make sure that I can get that to you. Can you provide some syntax? I'll drop it to everybody's chat. And then what I'll also do is I'll drop it into the LinkedIn chat for you. There you go. And you can follow on basically to understand how the commands work and how the syntax, it's basically structured like this. And I always like to reference to the evaluation functions. You can see like the structure and the environment, and we'll kind of go through those now. Evals are probably one of the more useful. I mean, they're all useful, but one of the ones that I use a lot, depending on the type of application, especially in things in the OT environment. So search commands, and then if you go down to search commands, this is where I spend most of my time. And so let's look at like that eval command we were just seeing there a second ago. And this is how you can kind of see the whole structure. Eval is basically as you're looking at a string. So let's say I want to add a new line, or I want to do some kind of calculation, or what I'll do is I'll say pipe eval, and I'll give it a name. So let's call it cheese. It's one of my favorite vals. So we're giving a new variable called eval, and we're going to just call it 12. And so now I've added a new column in which I've called it cheese is 12. But let's say you want to do some kind of mathematical formula or calculation, convert something from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So I've got count there, and maybe I want to do count in divided by 100 or something like that. So I can do count divided by 100. And now we're seeing that information divided by 100, so 8.01. Not that mathematical makes sense, but you can kind of see how that works there. All right, so the top command is a transforming command. And actually, I bet this will take us exactly where we were a second ago and showing us how that command works. Let's just drive that. You probably, so if I came over here, top, click on that. Oh, no, there we go. Transforming commands right there, top. There we go. See those, and they drop us to the same place. This is how you get all the information associated to the syntax. And this is the most used, one of my favorite tools that I use all the time to figuring out the type of searches. And let's say you've got a command, you're like, so I want to do top, but there's some command that's like top that's like top doesn't do it exactly the way I want the data to be visualized. One of the things that I love to do is scroll to the very bottom and you'll see C also. So like top, there's the command. We say, I want to do the inverse of top. In this particular case, it's rare. So I want to see ones that I get result sets, but doesn't come up very often. So let's actually do that real quick. I'm going to delete this command real quick and type in rare. rare. And I'm sure what I'll see now is the result set in which it's going to be doing the inverse of top, which is saying, give me the result set in which things weren't happening as often. So sports, apparently people don't like buying sports video games. I mean, that was the most popular video game in the, sports video games in the 90s. I can still hear like the intro to those specific video games. I won't mention them on stream, but it's in the game. So it's a good time. All right. So let's move forward back to our documentation. So we went through top. Let's actually go back and we'll drop that top back in there. It's going to follow us through some of the visualization aspects of the tool. So if you come over here, it's right now. So you remember at the beginning, we saw the events. And we've got statistics, and then we have this visualization tab. These are going to be key when you start developing things. So if you come over to events, you don't see anything here. I'm not saying you should do this. This is not the recommended because this is more intensive on your searches. But as you're getting built, I wouldn't do this on like a production environment. But if you have your own demo and you're trying to learn about how Splunk works, or you got it installed or using Splunk Cloud, dabble and put in the verbose mode. Basically what it means is it stores all that information and uses more resources on the back end. But as you're diagnosing, learning about Splunk, trying to get started, and that's really what we're talking about here today. And, I may not necessarily be teaching like the proper way that as you build an enterprise and you start becoming more resource intensive, there's things you'll want to do to make your searches more efficient and things like that. But we won't necessarily cover those today because I'm wanting this to make it easy and understanding and learning and growth. So click on the verbose and you can actually now see all your events. Now the results from your command. So your events are what all the data that was used to create your statistics tab from your search that you created above. And then you have your visualization associated to it. Right now it's selling a single value, but that we don't want to see a single value. We're actually going to want to see a column chart. So we'll go over here and click on column chart. And now you can see the top of all those, and I prefer, let's do a pie chart. Yeah, that's what I want to see. And these are just the built-in visualizations in Splunk. So if you want to see more visualizations, again, you can go over to Splunk Base. And, there's all different types of visualizations. So you can say, see all Splunk apps. And then you can do, let's say, like, where is categories, visualizations, technology type, app type, add-on, or we'll just kind of do like say network, or let's say maps. So like, for example, you want to import a map type visualization. You've got some geolocations. You want to create like an ant trail about how, like, let's say a person walked, if you have their geolocations and things like that. You can all types of things you can do with Splunk. But know that there's more visualizations outside of what you just see inside the basic process. And then all those apps, you'll just see those start building up here. All right, so let's move forward. Probably keep streaming for maybe another 20 minutes. So if you have some questions, I do want to finish up, talk a little bit about conf in the later part. So yeah. See how we're doing over here. Perfect. All right, so moving forward, well, we clicked it to pie chart. And then we're going to click on the strategy slice. And what we did there, as you can see, we appended a new or we added in that category ID equals strategy back to our and then we remove the top command, and now we're seeing all the results. So we've basically drilled down to see the data in which that's true for that time period. So we have 806 events, and this is when you start getting that investigation stage. So like, hey, I always reference maybe some IoT or manufacturing type use cases. But let's say like line stopped or error fault, or some, in this particular case, category, somebody purchased an item that was category of strategy. And I want to do some more investigation, see what kind of searches that they're doing, or not searches, but results or purchases that they're doing to see if they want to dig in a little bit further. All right, so we're going to do a sub search. Now we're gonna. Yeah, let's do. I want to go back to. I've always do this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into dashboards and visualizations real quick, and we're just gonna have fun for the last 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm gonna just show you about like once you've got something that's valuable, you want to start investigating, you want to start adding value, or you have something that you're like, hey, you know what, this is important to me. I want to see this information. Let's do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, I like this dashboard. It tells me a lot of unique information. We're going to go ahead and we're going to save this as a new dashboard. And think of a dashboard as a collection of searches in which you can use for your own. And we're going to leverage the Classic Studio for this training. We might do some more, and maybe next week we'll do this. We'll spend some time in the dashboard studio, have some fun with it. We're going to keep it private because I don't want anybody else. I don't even want my colleagues seeing my dashboards just yet. You know, I want to wow them once I get something going well. So let's do this. Let's call this 101 fun. And we're going to say visualization type as a pie chart and then save to dashboard. We're going to click view dashboard. And now we can see this 101 fun. So as you start digging into this, you're able to then manipulate or do some more additional. Let's do some more things. Let's add an input. Let's do a time picker. And then what we're also going to do, and we're starting to get a little bit more advanced, but we're going to do a drop down. Okay. So now I'm going to click save real quick so we go load it up and edit again. And I'm going to look at my chart title down here. And we're going to say, we'll just leave it as pie chart. And then we'll say, so what we want to do now is tie the time picker to the chart that we're using right here. So what we'll do is we'll click on the magnifying glass where it says time range, use time picker. And what we're going to do is we're going to select the time picker. Well, how do I know which time picker that I need to select from? So we'll come up here and we'll give this Gray's time. And we're going to default it to last 7 days, click apply. And then then we click on time range picker, shared time range picker, Gray's time. And we want this to refresh. Maybe this is something I'll have on my screen in the corner, something that I want to keep track of. And we'll refresh every 10 minutes and then click apply. And then save. All right, so what I've done now is I've now clicked a time picker. Maybe I want to look at the last 15 minutes. Well, we're not going to have a results that's because nobody purchased anything. Maybe I want to see what happened yesterday or the last 7 days. That's what we were. Maybe I want to see what somebody purchased yesterday. And it allows me to create my own personal environment for investigation. We'll click that at 7 days. Now, what I want to do now is I want to see how we have category IDs here. So we have simulation accessories, T, arcade strategy. We want to now make it so I can filter down on specific types. So we'll call this category. I can't spell category for some reason, so I apologize. It's one of those words that always strikes me as difficult. Category, and we're going to call this cat. And we're going to click apply. We'll save it real quick because I always like to save things as I go through the process. In case I mess something up or something along the ways, I can just refresh the page and get back to where I was. All right, so what we see here is index 101, source type category ID. And I'm actually going to, we're kind of getting a little ahead of ourselves today. So we need to change this up just a little bit more. So we're going to do what's called a stats command, which gives us all stats counts. So we have all the result sets and click apply real quick. But of course, stats count. Perfect. There we go. See, happy accidents along the way. This is what I was saying. We're gonna go back. So what I've done now is I can't figure out what I did wrong. My brain's not working right for a second. So we're gonna dig in to figure out what's going on with our search because I just messed something up along the ways. But that's no big deal. That's what we're doing. So what I want to do, okay, I figured out what it is. So we're learning a new command. Let's look at the stats command real quick and what it does. stats. All right, stats. And if I want to find out some more information, we'll click on help so we can get into that help documentation real quick. All right, take us to our search. Stats. Stats command calculates the statistics based on fields in your events. The eval command creates a new field in your events by using existing arbitrary expressions. So what I'm wanting to do is just get a stats count of the total types of category IDs. So I'd say stats count by category ID. And we're just going to click on that real quick. And so we should see what I was looking for real quick. Yeah, now I'm seeing it as a pie chart. So we're just going to copy the search real quick and drop that back into our command real quick. And then click save. And we should see. Perfect. That's what I wanted. I got a little ahead of myself, but it's no problem. So what I want to do now is I want to do multi-select, and I want to be able to say, well, I want to see what the ratio of, let's say, strategy, sports, simulation, shooter, or I want to just see information associated with it. So I can say this, just associated to it. So what I'm going to do is I can say category ID. So we got things like accessories. And then I'm going to just copy that, paste that in. And then we've got arcade. And there is faster ways of doing this, but we're just doing the brute force way of doing it right now. We're going to say shooter, simulation, and then click apply. So now what I've done is I've created a multi-select, but this multi-select doesn't do anything just yet. And actually, I'm going to add T, strategy, and sports. Problem is I can't see those one. First, I'm going to just drop it down here real quick. Put it over here, and I should be able to see better now. Perfect. Nope. T. All right, well, we'll move forward. Click save. And what I want to do is have this drive this search below. So token is cat. And again, we're getting a little bit more advanced. We're getting to a 1-level stuff here, but we're having fun. So we're going to say action equals purchase, and then we're going to do another command called category. And we got to do this category ID equals, and we're going to put a $cat. Again, this won't really necessarily make as much sense, but I just wanted to show you some of the features that we have within Splunk. It's going to really kind of drive, so it doesn't really show us much information. So let's come in here, and what we'll do is we'll edit the search. We're actually going to change that back to top. And now we're going to see that as statistics. Argument top is not invalid. I'm struggling today. I think that's because I got the stats command still in there. Yeah, there we go. And if we see our results set, we're going to change this back into a table form. And now you can see the count, percentage, and accessories. So what I've done is now I've created a dashboard or visualization that drives my searches below. And we can kind of get into this more about how that's useful. So now you can say, hey, I want us to create a dynamic dashboard to do some investigation, have some fun, and learn more about my data that may only be useful to me, that other people look at and they're like, hey, you know what, I don't know what that's, because that's what I find like so valuable about Splunk is, let's say I got an issue or I got some problem. I am in the driver's seat. I am the one creating my search results for my own investigation, my own understanding, my own learning, and my own experiences. So that's one of the things that I kind of would just add to. This can be just for your own personal uses. And the data is most valuable when the person that needs the data is in the driver's seat. All right, so let's do a little bit of closing out real quick. Find my mouse. And share my screen again. All right. Got started. Survey 101. I think we might have dropped that in the chat already. I can do that real quick again. I did not have that. So if you want to take a QR code real quick of that, I'll give you a few seconds. Please, if you like what you saw, you want to learn more, find out more information, scan this. This helps us out know what we should be doing next and how we can start helping you out through this Grays Academy environment. So I'll pause there for a second. I thought I had that one linked saved on the side, but I didn't today. All right, Conf coming up real soon, October 18th through the 21st. It is a virtual environment, so feel free to sign up and join. And big thing, so the price has been dropped down to a beautiful price of $0. So feel free to sign up, follow along, learn about more information. It's going to be October 9th through the 20th at Mayor. And for EMENA and APAC is 20th through the 21st. To find out more information, just go to splunk.com and click on Conf in the top right-hand corner and register. We should start seeing some things coming through about events as far as what's the word I'm looking for? Booths and things like that. You'll start seeing those populate the breakout sessions. You'll start seeing those pop up, and so you can start signing up so you can get an opportunity to go see those sessions, which I would highly recommend. We also have a lot of fun speakers. I'm not going to speak too much on them just yet, but please sign up and so you can get the notifications as they stream out. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today for Grays Academy 101, and look forward to seeing everyone here next week. Thank you so much.